Hello and welcome to the DrivingMaul show here on Monday evenings at 8 p.m. live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. You can also catch the podcast as well. Obviously, you can watch back on those channels. But if you want to join in the live chat, then that's the time you can come and join us in the live chat as well. And joining me this evening, I've got Steve from Cornflakes Crib. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Good to be here again. Good to see you. Looking forward, right? That was a weird thing to say. I'm almost going to start a poem if I keep that up. Looking forward. Let's go.
It is pretty much good. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to look back on. I mean, also obviously there was a Barbarians game against Wales, but I'll be honest, I didn't watch that. I don't know if you did.
I thought it was on Sunday. It was on Saturday.
On Saturday, yeah. Yes, we could. Apparently, some world rankings were changing. Apparently, I don't know why. But anyway, there we go. We might have a quick look in on that. I'll be honest, there was some women's rugby going on over the weekend, and there has been for a while now with the WXV. But I'll be honest, I've not been following that, so we won't be talking about that. It's better to either you give it full attention, talk about it properly, or you don't. Basically, is my point of view, and we just can't do it proper. Or I can't do it proper justice. I don't know if you've been catching those games, Steve.
Nope. I see results, and that's about it. I'm more intrigued about the work of Sweden. Climbing up these. I'm just looking at the rankings now. The reviewers talking about, the powerhouses of rugby. I love it. I love when a reviewer comes in because he always comes out with this crazy stuff about what's he gone about Lithuania beating Ukraine. It's the heart and soul of rugby. That's what it is.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we actually did a tier 2 show. And actually get the reviewer on and doing his own show about tier 2 rugby. Would probably be how it is. But in the news, there was some bad news around the Barbarians side of things, with one of their Fijian stars getting accused of sexual assaults, then getting therefore dropped from the team. So apparently 3 different incidents on the same night at a nightclub. Separate incidents as well. Not the 3 women weren't together. It's just 3 separate women that they allegedly did. He's denying it, and has been told he's been released on bail and he's not allowed to go into Wales apart from when he's which is where the game was. He's banned from the whole country until this case is sorted out.
Could be worse places to be banned from, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not the worst. Yeah, it's not that bad. But you kind of like, oh yes, you're not allowed within X feet of somebody. No, you're not allowed in the whole frigging country. Go away. That's too close. I mean, how long are his arms, for crying out loud? But there you go. Look, we're joking about it, but look, it's a serious matter. These things should not be happening in this day and age, ever really. And if he's guilty, then clearly the book should be thrown at him. If he's not guilty, then obviously move on with his life. Sam Cane is going to have to go through the judiciary, not happening within the normal 24 hours after a game. But you can understand why, being the Rugby World Cup final, with a whole rugby awards show on the next night. I can think people were kind of busy, and so yes. Not a surprise that one's taken a bit longer than usual to get the hearing. And let's be honest, he's not playing rugby until next year, so it's not like they have to rush it. It's not like there's any rush to do it. If he'd been lined up to play the following weekend, then look, you might want to throw your toys out the pram and stuff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter when it happens, does it? As long as it happens before next season.
Oh yeah, he's off to Japan. Who cares?
Well, yes, there is that as well. There we go. And yeah, apparently, yes. They actually played the Wales Barbarian game at the same time as the URC Welsh Derby game. This is just rugby administrators just can't get their arse and elbow. And really, couldn't organise a Pittsburgh brewery. They really couldn't. The mighty Benetton are unbeaten after 3 rounds. Oh my God! Wow. Oh, I guess they've got all their Italian internationals back, whereas all the other teams might be resting some players.
All their Italian fans, come on. Your fans are just as important as the players. Come on now. They have. I mean, we've seen drips and drabs of other players coming back, but URC's been really funny. So I've been following it and trying to catch bits and pieces I can. It's home advantage, man. It's you're home. You're 90% chance you're going to win that game. I think. There was one away upset in the last round, which was I can't remember. I think it was one of the Welsh sides. I think off the top of my head, it was in Ospreys. But it was not an upset by any stretch. It was one of the top teams versus bottom teams. And other than that, if you're at home, you are in a great place to get yourself a victory there. So it makes picking and tipping probably a little bit easier, right? Because you can go, well, if you're at home, then you got a good chance that you're going to put out that victory on your side of things. So I'm just trying to see who it was that picked up that away win. It was the Bulls versus Zebra. That's right. So it was 54-29. It was a bit of a thrashing. Every other game was a home victory. So there you go. Well, if you're picking URC, just go home and you're pretty safe.
Yeah, I mean, the travel is a bit crazy in that one. Zebra scoring over 29 points a game and losing every time. Well, Scott Gregory and Petuli Pai, who have both gone over from the Highlanders, are used to losing, aren't they? So perhaps they're taking the losing mentality with them.
I thought they're not used to scoring tries, though, on the other side of things.
Well, there is that. Yes, that's true.
I think it's been quite cool. It's like, it just because you look at performances, right? And you look at the way teams are playing and their form. And it's not like Super Rugby. You go like, well, this team's playing really well at the moment. This team's playing really badly. It's just that their travel is, especially for the South African sides, right? That's the real killer. And teams going to South Africa and then coming back home again. And you see teams get smoked on the road. And then the next week, they are winning games and against better opposition. So it's really, really intriguing from that point of things because no team is really, really, truly dominating. I mean, I thought the Bulls looked really, really, really good throughout the tournament. But, they've had an off week as well as they've gone through. So, yeah, intriguing tournament. I'm quite interested by it so far. It's just that the unpredictability of it has been really, really fun.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones that definitely will take a while to settle down until the international players are back.
Yes.
Right?
Especially for Irish ones.
And the South African players as well. They're not back yet playing.
True.
So there's a number of players to come back. You've got apparently there's a video showing Dan Bigger, his back seizing up as he was kicking the ball. So because you remember, I think it was 8 years ago now that Connacht won the title or got close or had a really good run. And again, it was on it was either them or Scarlets, and it was basically when it was a World Cup year. So they had this. They didn't lose any players to the Rugby World Cup. They lost like one player to the Rugby World Cup, whereas other teams were obviously lost a lot more players, and so hence they got a fantastic run up to start off the season. And so from that point of view, it'll take a while to settle down. Whilst, you say, the Irish and South African players take their time to return to this competition. So let's just see how it goes. But I think it will. Yeah, it will come down. But travel is a big thing, particularly to and from South Africa. In that one, Connacht won it in 2015. There we go.
8 years.
8 years. Red World Cup.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Bang. Boom. That's why people come watch the show. You see, for these facts.
Show over. Mic drop. We're done. See ya.
Dear. And off the back of that Sam Cane stuff, by the way, there has been some research coming out of Southland or down that way about Otago University about head high tackles and all that kind of stuff, and wearing gum shields with chips in and things. And look, some very good points in the fact that there's next to no research on women in this situation. They always discount women as being small men, which I deliberately use quotes there, which is just bollocks because they are physiologically different and they do need their own research. So it's good to see that there's an increase in research in that space is starting to happen, but still there's nowhere near enough for that. But basically, shock horror. The findings are that the higher the tackle is, the more chances of brain injuries. No shit, Sherlock. There we go.
How much money did that cost? I could have done that for free. Well, no, I would have a little bit cheaper than they did it.
So, but they do say, look, it's not just big hits; it's any kind of hits in that in that one. So yes, so we'll see how that how that goes. Obviously, more research is needed. Interesting one that a whole bunch of sports people around the world have been donating their brains to, once they're dead, to be dissected and studied. Very few New Zealand rugby players have done so. New Zealand rugby players, athletes, please step up and start doing that. I'm sure lots of you watch the show, and therefore will
donate your brain.
Simon Hughes says the fans don't like that stuff, Paul. Fans less rules and want more big hits. Now look, yes and no. There are two ways of going. You can either go the NRL route, where basically they've gone, let's just watch people get their heads knocked off, and we'll basically have UFC with a rugby ball. Or you go the route of the NFL, where if you watch NFL now, they have taken the emphasis away from the hits and from power, and they've moved it towards the skill side of the sport. Watching the Super Bowl 2 years ago or last year, I remember watching it and thinking, geez, a player there has just pushed a player after the whistle and he's got done for unnecessary roughness. And it's like, what? The whistle, and it's just a push. There was nothing, I mean, the guy didn't fall over. There was not much force behind it, etc. Over the last 10 years or so, maybe a bit longer, the NFL has moved from being what was historically a bash sport where big hits and violence was celebrated to being a skill sport. And look, there's still a physical element, don't get me wrong, but the emphasis has changed and their viewership hasn't gone down. So I don't see why rugby can't do the same. Steve, I think you watch a bit more NFL, NFL than I do.
I do agree. It has changed a little bit. There's definitely still a lot of emphasis on massive shots and that, but I think the discipline side of it has definitely stepped up. As in, like you say about after the whistle, nothing happens. You know, the showboating side of things afterwards is gone. You know, the taunting. They've got the penalties in place for, you know, what they call it when they grab the grill or they touch the grill of the other guy's helmet or something like that. Anything like that. You know, all that sort of stuff is really emphasized quite a lot now. So yeah, there's a lot of emphasis changed. It's kind of probably tidies the game up, speeds the game up a little bit. But yeah, there's just certainly no loss of love of the game. There is there for sure. That's as popular as anything right now. But the thing is though, if something happens, fans know just as much as the referees what the penalty is going to be. Like you watch either the media coverage of, you know, like the shows they do, or you watch, you know, fan sort of interaction with it. As soon as a flag goes out, they know what it is. They know exactly straight away. It's like, 26 pushed that guy, you know, after the whistle goal or whatever, or, you know, anything like that. It's like, they know straight away. The problem with rugby, I think, is that opposite. A whistle goes and you're like, well, what happened? It's like, was it that bad? You know, it's a lot of, no one really knows what's going on. So a little bit more certainty with the way the laws are officiated would help as well. But yeah, I think, hey, they've changed so much of the game as well. What could hurt anymore? I mean, could it get much worse than what they've already done? I mean, with the implement logos and stuff as well, as reviewers saying, my goodness me, unbelievable.
So yeah, so to my mind, we do need to change I think rugby should go more towards a skill-based game, rather than being and try and sell it that route, rather than trying to sell it as being this big, hard, smashing game. And it just needs something that needs to move in that direction. It would be my opinion. I did do a chat with, do you know Gift from USA? I did have a whole show with him, talking about it and actually looking at how the NFL had changed their approach a couple of years ago now, I think it is. I might throw that in the comments afterwards so you guys can find that show if you want to have a listen to Gift and I chatting about how NFL had changed from being a physical or a bash-based sport to being a focused, to being a technical or a skill-focused game. I mean, the protection of the quarterback gets nowadays, is unreal. Let's be honest on that one. Any other kind of Lee Halfpenny? We haven't really talked about that, have we? Yeah. Lee Halfpenny has signed for the Crusaders. Steve and I talked about this pre-show. He's not the only one coming over, actually, folks. Reece Pratchell is also coming over to the Highlanders as well. So a couple of ex-Welsh players coming over. Obviously, still be very happy with Reece Pratchell after the success of Freddie Burns at the Highlanders last year. The yeah, sorry, Simon's in the live chat saying, haven't seen Gifted in a long time. Yeah, he's in Brazil now and doing some other stuff. Married a Brazilian girl. I think he's doing good though. But yeah, I think he's changed his focus on what he on the content he produces. On that front. So Lee Halfpenny will be an assistant coach and player. Assistant coach and player. Wow, that's interesting.
Along with Ryan Crotty, I hope.
The what you want Ryan Crossley playing, do you?
He must be at least 60, 100 by now, right?
The coming back from Japan. Look, folks. But let's just talk about the Halfpenny one there, because he is probably the highest profile international signing for a while now. Let's be honest. Yeah, this idea that he'll be playing 10, that that seems like a bit of a joke to me. As cover for Fergus Burke, who apparently is who looks like he might be injured at the moment. But your thoughts on bringing Lee Halfpenny in and playing him at 10 for the first time in his entire professional career?
He's average at best. Goodness, how else do you describe it without being too mean? Oh, look, these guys that come over, they come over for two reasons, right? It's not for the money. They come over either at the start of their career for exposure to try and propel themselves forward, or they come over at the end of their career because they've all heard about playing rugby in New Zealand. It's such a cultural experience and fantastic thing to experience as a player that you got to try at least once,
And also start your career to grow your game, improve your game, not just give you exposure, just give you the coaching and training here is second to none, apparently.
It's like the coaches going overseas, right? How many All Blacks coaches now do we see going over to Ireland, England, or whatever, and then coming back and having that international experience? I guess it's the flip side of that for a player. But yeah, I mean, it's a very, I guess this is a new look Crusaders sort of idea, isn't it? Like, is this what we're going to see from them in the future, since post Robinson and a whole new staff leading that side going ahead? So I don't know. I'm not sold on it. I think he's going to have a good kicking game. I don't think his game style is sort of going to blend into Super Rugby that well, because Super Rugby we know is a game that typically it's a go for it, no matter where you are on the field. Not many teams play too much test match, tactical kicking for corners and all that sort of thing. They like to use their backs. They like to get the wingers involved. All the backline players all like to touch the ball at least more than twice. I'm surprised Henry Arundel's not coming over here just so he learns what a rugby ball looks like, because he's the sort of guy that's hardly seen one. I'm kind of worried about the Crusaders and how or what style they're going to play with him if he is going to be playing at 10. That could be really, really interesting. But around him, what talent has he got? He's got such cracking talent around him. So it's going to be a really fantastic side. But I just think give the young guys a go. That's what I don't like about it. Like, who's missing out on the spot in his place for New Zealand rugby, especially in a number 10 jumper, which is, I think, priority number 1 for New Zealand rugby right now.
Yeah, we will be talking about number 10 in a second, or later in the show. Sorry, perhaps not in a second. But look, the idea of having it 10 is a farce. Look, that's first. It ain't. I can't see it happening. There are other players who you would put in there, like David Havili, for example. They just signed Rivers Rehana. Look, the actual full squads will come out on Thursday this week. So what we'll do is we'll start looking at them squad by squad from next week. Pardon me. So don't worry about that. So we won't go into in depth. That's what it is. But no, Lee Halfpenny is. Sure, he's coming over for the experience, for the lifestyle. He's not coming over, as you say, for the money. Will he play every single game? No. But he'll play. But what he will bring is experience and professionalism to a side. Remember, this is a side that are losing. You lose the Sam Whitelock, Richie Moanga, Jack Goodhue, Lester Fainganuku are all going. So it brings a bit more leadership experience into that as to how to behave off the pitch, how to prepare yourself, that kind of stuff. As well, it means that Will Jordan doesn't have to play every single game. It means that they can manage his minutes, because that's when he has played a lot of minutes for the All Blacks and will be expected to do so going forward as well. So I don't think it's a bad signing per se. but not as a 10. God no. That's no. You get him as a 15. Maybe 6-10 years ago might get him as a 15/winger. Not anymore though. And the one thing he shouldn't do is be teaching the guys how to tackle, because boy oh boy, here's a guy who gets his head in the wrong place. Yes, he stops players, but not in a good way. And his main goal will be not getting knocked out. In my point of view on that one. Don't you think the 5 Super Rugby franchises to join the URC instead of them have better competition? Oh my God, no. This is one thing we learned about Super Rugby when South Africa was involved, is don't be playing games at 2:00 in the morning. No one gives a shit. We're sleeping, right? Give us games during the daytime when we're awake, please. Playing games in the middle of the night, no one cares, right? It just, does not work. So on that one, and so for next week we'll start going through the sides. The main Freddie Burns flashbacks. Like, he wasn't that bad, right?
Yeah, he was.
But he was.
He's pretty bad. I mean, they had to use him for a start off. Then they didn't know where they wanted to use him. And so it's kind of like, well, why bother going to all the effort of getting the guy there? Have a solid plan. I can't have more hopes for Reece Patchell, to be sadly honest about it, because look at what they've got. They're not going to be shuffling around Mitch Hunt anymore. He's gone.
True.
So that kind of jersey is his to share with possibly like a Cam Miller or something like that. A bit of a youth in there. So I think there's going to be a bit of responsibility in there for him as well, to actually do something constructive or do something half decent. He's only 30 years old. It's not like he's over the hill and far down the other side and collapsing by a tree. So he's still got a bit of legs in him, and I think they're going to need him. I think they're going to need a guy who's going to run and do a little bit of decent sort of stuff to ignite these outside backs. Because let's be honest, this Highlanders side actually has some good wingers now. We've actually got guys who can hopefully finish. Because let's be honest, what we've lacked for like the last decade is players who can actually finish created chances. And I think this time we've got some real standout stars in that back line that are going to be on the end of some hopefully exciting play. So fingers crossed, right?
Yep, and we will do a full rundown, a full review of the Highlanders going forward. As we've already pointed out, there has been some change there with 2 of their centres playing for Zebre now, it's with 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 players have left the Highlanders from last year. So there's been a lot of change around these squads, and we'll get a better view as to what these squads look like on Thursday. A few interesting names back. I mean, Caleb Trask back as well, which I think is an interesting one from Japan, and perhaps Tony Brown overreacted to our small backs being run over and opted for bulk that was a slow instead. Well, there we go. That's the Highlanders. There you go. That's what went wrong with the Highlanders. So bring back the small backs. But let's have a quick look at the main topic is to have a look at the All Blacks, and decide and look at who's kind of going, who's going to leave, who's going to be around next year. Where are the gaps going to be? So looking at the squad, let's start at the top there. I think we pretty much say that Offers is off, isn't he?
He's offer.
So actually, he's still technically he's actually still around next year. So actually, sorry, that's wrong. Offer is not off. But the Lualala is though. I think we've got down. Yeah,
he's off to Toulouse.
He's off to Toulouse. So most of the props are still around next year. So it's not like so actually there's consistency there. Dane Coles is on his way now. Actually, the All Blacks did a magnificent 8 players and tributes to these players who are leaving. So here's who they covered: Brody Retallick, Nipo Lualala, Samuel Whitelock, Aaron Smith, Dane Coles, Richie Mwanga, Shannon Frizzell, and Lester Fainga'anuku. Now, Beauden Barrett is heading overseas, but apparently he's not one of the Magnificent Eight.
He's coming back, though. He's only there for a season, right?
No, he's not. Well, I think it's 2 seasons at least, and he may come back. I mean, who knows what's going to happen by then, right?
I mean, Richie Moang is 3 seasons, and he's not part of that Magnificent Eight either.
No, Richie Moang was. Yep.
Oh, was he?
So Richie was, who, obviously decided he's not coming back, or that's not within it, but clearly, Brody apparently is coming back. Oops, I just did an undo, which was not what I meant to do. Oh, redo. So yes, we've also got Whitelock and Brody have gone. Brazil, Sam Kane and Surveyor are both gone for Super Rugby, but they are only around as is Razor's contract 2 or 4 years. Normally they do 2 years, so who knows? We probably should know that. So Shannon Frizzell heading, as we just heard about. Aaron Smith, obviously, 4 years. Oh, okay, that's good.
Through the World Cup, yep.
That good Hugh I mentioned was gone. So Sam Gilbert, he was on our list as being potential All Black. Bodie's gone, as talked about, and so has Lester Fainga'anuku. So actually, looking at that then, as to who's gone, clearly a big hole in the locks. Especially when you look at that list of who was waiting at home: Arcoy, Strange, Walker, Leary, Lord. None of those have got that much experience. And Tupu Va'ai, again, not a lot of experience. So Scott Barrett is the only experienced lock, literally. Where's Sam Gilbert going? Sam Gilbert's gone over to Zebre. Is that right? Have I got one player?
No, Gregory and Fatuli Pyro have gone.
Gregory, sorry, my bad. I'm getting my names mixed up. Oh dear. Gregory and Gilbert, same.
He's not locked in yet as a squad member though, so
yeah, okay, so we'll see.
And he's a 10 option too, so I think they should definitely be keeping him. I think he's got a good future.
We'll see what happens with sorry folks, my bad. Sam Gilbert isn't going. Just me being dyslexic and can't read names. So looking at this, really there are kind of 2 areas that I think are of concern. Locks and 5'8", locks and 10. Those are the 2 areas I think. Everywhere else, you've still got Christy Roygaard. Brad Webber is leaving.
Did we not push Christy off that plane over Scotland? I thought that was the plan. Did he come back? Did he arrive at Auckland Airport? Oh, that's disappointing. Took me straight over Scotland. See you, Christy. Go play for Edinburgh. I don't care. Just see you. Him and who else are we dropping off there as well? Oh, Caleb Clark. I don't care what country you drop him over. Any of them. just if you see land, throw him off. Give him a parachute. Woo! See you later. He's gone. If those 2 didn't come back, I'm very happy.
Oh dear.
That's with faith in Razor that he's not going to pick him.
The Ankerville's gone as well.
Off to Munster.
So is Tavashek. Neither of those guys.
Who's that guy? Who's he? What a loser. Go back to the league.
So yeah, I think the All Blacks are actually not in a bad place with Razor coming in. It's not like it's got a major overhaul. Most of his players are still around. 2 first-choice wingers are there. First-choice centres are there. He's got experienced replacements at potentially at scrum half. The back row is pretty much is mainly there because Ethan Blackadder slotting in for Frizzell. The locks, as we say, a bit thin. Hookers, Cody Taylor and Samasoni are still around. And then in the props, 5 out of the 6 props who went to the World Cup are still there. Not that I think you can rely on offer for too much longer, due to age, more than anything else. So it's not the kind of big clear out that we've seen after the Rugby World Cup, Steve.
Not really, I guess. I think it's just the caliber probably of player that makes you kind of think that it is. I think there's only one real position. Locks, I think over the next 2 years will sort themselves out. I think we've got a good enough depth at lock, but I think we need the next 2 years are going to be huge for anyone who wants to don a number 10 jumper. Anyone wants to put on that 10 jumper, you're putting yourself in a position, if you perform for a season, you have a really good year, to be wearing a number 10 black one. That's, I think, a really good position. But this is what's exciting, man. This is the best part about a World Cup. Although you go through the actual World Cup itself, but afterwards, when you go, okay, it's like, bye-bye, see you later, you're old and you should go anyway. But now we get to say, hey, where's that next step coming from? Who's going to fill those boots? And it's kind of, I reckon it's the most exciting part, because now is when you start to see, is he good enough for the All Blacks? Is he good enough in that spot? Is he going to get 12 games in a row to be able to play? Is he going to stay injury free? There's so many options now of players, and we're already seeing it. Like 10 was such a problematic area. I thought going through that World Cup, not only at the World Cup, Mo'unga got injured, and how many injury scares did he have in the World Cup? Like 6. It was crazy. Every week it's sort of like he had something different bandaged up. It's like they were playing a prank really through the World Cup. But now there's so many guys coming through that could be good. Caleb Trask coming back. Only seeing that this morning. I was like, well, there's another option. You got the young guys. I'm
about to fire a whole bunch of names at you.
Okay, go.
The stuff have come out. Obviously, DMAC is in the hot seat, and you were expecting him to be first choice next year. No,
first choice fullback.
First choice fullback.
Hey, even Foster agreed with me by the end of the World Cup. Where did Mackenzie play in the finals when he came on? Where did he come on? He didn't come on at 10.
True. I agree in content, but in all honesty, Will Jordan had his worst game of his entire life in that final, unfortunately. He was dropping the ball, and so he replaced Will Jordan. I'm a massive fan of Will Jordan, but he had a shocker that night, unfortunately. Just a shame it was on the biggest stage ever there, and it happens to the best of them, unfortunately. And he was unlucky there. So DMAC is currently is considered the obvious choice. Fergus Burke of the Crusaders, only 24, and I think he actually did a decent job last year. I was impressed by him in Super Rugby. So he could be. He could throw his hat in the ring. I think he'll get. I think he'll be the first. I think he'll be the starter for the Crusaders. Well, if he's fit.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Blues. Zahn Sullivan.
Just carry on. don't say the P words. There's 2 P words, and if you say either of them, it's not. No. I mean, to me, I see Zahn Sullivan as a 15. I don't see him as a 10. I see both the Sullivans will be All Blacks. Both Sullivans will be All Blacks, but not as 10s.
Yeah, really? Wow.
Yeah. What's the really part? The 10s or both of them being All Blacks?
I can't. I'm not sure Bailey's big enough. The Harry Potter, the reviewer, you can go over that one.
Time out.
I think Ben Sullivan, unfortunately, doesn't have the size for international rugby.
That's a Damien McKenzie excuse.
Yeah, he's not in the centres, right?
That's a Marcus Smith excuse. That's all sorts of small player excuses.
Yeah, but you're talking about the guys who you're going to hide at fullback away from having to make lots of tackles. You're not talking about a guy in the 13 channel who's expected to basically be the linchpin of the back line.
We've got 4 years. We've got 4 years.
Okay.
He can grow up and he can bulk up. I just think they're both quality. I just think, and when you're looking at young talent and for backline players, I think they're both quality players, have a lot of valuable assets. And considering that's, an Auckland player involved in there, you should be taking that quickly, stacking it away in your pocket and moving on, because I don't often speak nicely of Auckland players.
I agree. They're both quality players, and Balin, I've watched him play a lot for Waikato in the flesh. I think he's a cracking player. I'm just not sure he can at that next level. Well, we'll see. Maybe he can survive. be great if you can. Josh Jacob of Taranaki, 22-year-old. I think it's a bit early to be kind of putting that kind of pressure on him. I can't see him next World Cup. That's wow, that's a big ask to be getting in that quickly at number 10 with zero Super Rugby experience.
Yeah, that's yep. Long shot, super long shot.
Super long shot
way down the list.
Ruben Love at Wellington.
Yep. Aidan Morgan.
Do you think? Who's going to have that 10 jersey for
Love will play fullback
for the Canes? Love play fullback, and okay, we'll see.
Well, that's what they've done previously, right? So if they're both fit, right? Seeing they're both fit, I think you're adaptable players, I guess. So, and I mean, they've moved Aidan Morgan around a bit, and they've moved Ruben Love around a bit too, haven't they? So they've both played throughout the back line. So I just think they seem to, based on what they've done already, they seem to feel that Morgan is more the natural 10, whereas they seem to have gravitated towards moving Ruben Love away from 10 and getting in old timers. I heard they have last season, was it a Garden Bishop? It was a hyphen guy's name in at 10 instead. So, yeah. I can't remember who it was there, but they got an old guy in instead of him. So, and then moved him around. So that's why it's just like maybe they favour him in that sort of position as I quickly scroll through and try and find who they had there in 10 instead. No, can't find it.
Well, they got Cameron, Godfrey, and Morgan are the three they've got. Riley Hohepa was also there. Were the names they had at the Canes, but yeah, with Brett Cameron there, I'm actually surprised that they've actually not mentioned Brett Cameron, because I think Brett Cameron has improved. Look, he's a one-cap All Black. I think there's a good chance of claiming that Hurricanes 10 jersey for himself, but we'll see. Again, another massive long shot. In fact, they got a couple here. Lucas Cashmore for Bay of Plenty, 21. I mean, look, he's still not got any Super Rugby, so come on. Major long shot there. Cam Miller for Otago. Again, I'm not sure how much game time he's going to get with Reece Priestland there. And again, he's 21. I think he's going to need a few years before you talk about him being in there. And then Taha Kamara for Waikato and the Crusaders. Is he going to get ahead of Fergus Burke? I don't think so. So, yeah, so I think we're looking at, I mean, obviously, down in the Highlanders, you're looking at maybe Cam Miller, but Reece Priestland's there. We've got Fergus Burke at the Crusaders. We've got Brett Cameron. I think will probably have the 10 jersey. You think Morgan for the Hurricanes. D-Mac has got the 10 jersey for or Caleb Trask. Was it no Caleb?
Trask back at the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs. And then at the Blues.
Don't say it.
Well, to be fair, there's Perifetta there. So Stephen Perifetta. The question is, and also, I mean, actually, a guy who Josh Ioane at the Chiefs as well. So we'll see. There is Perifetta and Ioane. Perifetta to me, I think D-Mac and Perifetta are the two kind of more established guys who you would put in as being 1 and 2 for the All Blacks. But obviously, this is we're not. This is off the back of Foster's choices rather than whoever Razor might decide. But to me, that at the moment, it's D-Mac and Perifetta are the established guys that need to be knocked over.
Yep, I agree. They probably are your front two leaders, but I'll be a selector by this time next year, so I'll be able to sort it all out by then, and we'll get rid of Christie, get rid of Perifetta, Josh Ioane, don't even know. I mean, he struggles at Super Rugby level. Let's be honest, he's never really fulfilled that Super Rugby level of ability, let alone going further than that. I think now is the time you have to experience these guys in the squad and find out. You've got pretty much 2 years, right? 2 years to nail down at least a good core of most of these positions. I think in those next 2 years leading up to the World Cup, It's when you've got to whittle that core or that wider group down to a squad, right? Over the 12, 18 months after that. And then obviously you're at go time again. So this is a time if you want to take a risk. I mean, Scott Robinson's probably invincible right now, right? I think he can probably have, he's better off taking risks now and then dumping some guys that aren't doing the job than he is doing it next year. Because you're going to be going into year 2 when people start getting nervous about World Cup cycles, and then you start pulling some risks and they don't come off. Now's the time to make your risk. Now's the time to find out what these guys. It's based on Super Rugby form, member too. Like we're looking at these guys now, going, they're in the squad. Yeah. They've got a whole season's play. We can easily see, any of these guys. Peter Feta could have an absolutely dumper. He could get injured in round 1 for 8 weeks, and then what's your chances of that? So there's a lot of water to go on that bridge. But based on where they stand now, I still would like to see chances to guys who have had a couple of seasons at Super Rugby. Now it's their time to make that step up or become a journeyman and go play in Japan. And I'm talking about the Morgans, the Ruben Loves, all those sort of guys throughout the Peter Fetters for that state. Same thing. Caleb Trask. So he's already jumped ship. What I thought was quite surprising. And tactically now he's come back. Good timing, right? Right back at the start of a new cycle. So he's got things on his mind that he wants to achieve. So we'll see. I just think now's the time to watch the rugby. The standout guys take a chance.
Yeah, Caleb Trask, 24. I think it's he's gone and had a bit of experience. The Perifetta, 26. Yeah, he either makes it next year or he doesn't. At the end of the day, for Perifetta.
Yep. Off to Japan
on that one. I still think Razors allowed 2 losses next year, max. Any more than that, then there'll be one of those against South Africa. Basically, they should not lose any other games in the Rugby Championship against Australia and Argentina. They should win those games. End of story. And then he's allowed to lose one. Actually, I'm not sure who's touring.
England.
New Zealand. Sorry,
England.
Right, if they lose a test to England, Jesus fucking Christ, the world is coming to an end. So basically, that plus one game during the November tour are the two games he's allowed to lose. If he loses more than that, then boy oh boy, he'll find his honeymoon period is gone. So to me, yes he can experiment, but not too much. Do you think Razor will take Sean Stevenson?
It's the same to me, is it?
You go first. I'll go. I'll give my opinion after you.
It depends how he plays. I mean, because the thing is, you're not picking a team for 6 months. If he plays like he played last season, and again, it depends who's fit. Sevu Reece going to be back. Narawa going to be back. Are those two going to be headed on the picking order? How will they play during the season? So it's going to depend a lot. But I think if he plays like how he's played in the situation and the chips are similar to what they are this year, I think he would pick him. I think he would. He just fits. Okay. I think he'll fit a mold that he'll kind of want, the style of play that Robinson does play.
This comes down to, so first off, I think you've chosen the wrong players as to who's competing against. I cannot see Sean Stevenson as a winger. He's either a 15 or he's not in the side at all.
He really going to play Super Rugby all season. That's the thing. You can't pick someone as a fullback that's played wing all season. That's just not right.
But he's going to play the entire season at the Chiefs on a fullback, and D-Max going to be at 10.
Why won't he play on the wing?
Because he'll be the fullback. Who else is going to be a fullback?
Nana Satoro?
Well, no, you play Nana Satoro on the wing. Nana Satoro is not a bloody fullback.
Stevenson can play on the wing too. And you don't know who else they've got as well. Who else is there? I'm just looking at who's there right now.
Okay, so you've got Caleb Charles, Dave McKenzie. Okay, between 10 and 15, Caleb Charles, Dave McKenzie, Josh Ioane, potentially. So maybe you put those three, cover those slots, in which case then Sean Stevenson goes out on the wing. To me, so I'm going to play France, England, Japan, and England, Italy away next November. Yeah, I mean, losing to France, a loss to France, a loss to South Africa, I think is okay. Any other losses is puts Razor under the spotlight as to he was good at Super Rugby, but he can't do international. Will be the line that's written out, that's trotted out. But those are the 2 losses he's allowed next year, in my opinion. To me, it comes down to how does Rays want to play? Does he want to play the way that we're seeing Foster play, which is with 2 playmakers, which is what we're seeing with the Moanga Barrett or Barrett Dame McKenzie we saw before that, and that's basically been his way for the past 5, 6 years, 7 years maybe. But you don't really see that playmaker at 15 for the Crusaders. Okay, Havili can do, but they've moved into the centres. So to my mind, if they play with just the 10 playmaker and the 15 being that sort of third attacking winger, kind of space guy, running player rather than playmaking player, then yeah, absolutely he could choose Sean Stevenson, but he might want to go with Will Jordan. That's the part there. Would an arrow loss to England in the 3rd test, dead rubber, with a brand new squad for the first 2 tests be allowed? Maybe, but did you see how awful England were at the Rugby World Cup? They were very, very limited. They came 3rd, but that was the draw allowed that, and they played 9-man rugby or maybe 10-man rugby. It was their semi-final game against South Africa was the epitome of what 10-man rugby was. If you want to see a definition of it, it's that. They executed it very, very well, which is why they got close to winning. Don't get me wrong. I'm an England fan. The jersey's there. But I think they did fantastic at that in that semi-final. And I loved it, every minute of it. But playing against an All Black side, you should not be able to do that to an All Blacks team who don't have 2 wingers who are 5'2". To me, Aronson is not an international level winger. I know the South African fans would kill me for that, but Colby, yes. Aronson, no. He's not an international winger, in my view.
You got to think about too when they'll be playing. Winter
in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Come on, the All Blacks don't.
I think that'll play into England's hands. If you're going to, I don't know whether you're playing. I presume Eden Park will be one of them, and probably Wellington. Who knows? You're going to be playing outdoors, wet, windy, swirling sort of conditions. I thought throughout those finals of the World Cup of that weather conditions, and they were pretty average during those finals. I think they played, especially against South Africa, I think they played into England's hands drastically because it just gives, if you've got a back 3 that can catch, and England had a fullback that was very good under the high ball. And if you can secure that yourself and put pressure on the other team that are going to knock the ball on, don't have a plan for securing or protecting that guy at the back, which the Springboks didn't for the first 40 minutes or so of that game, and that you can easily let a game run away from you if they're going to just sit there and chip away at 3s and 3s and 3s and 3s. And hey, before you know it, you're 18, you're 24 points down, whatever. It's quickly swivels away. And I mean, if the All Blacks going to run and attack and look to throw the ball around.
Yeah, but third test in a test match series, they're going to know the tactics.
Third test. I'm talking first test.
Oh, first test with a full strength team. Wow.
Pouring with rain. Rain.
If it's pouring rain, maybe. Okay.
Wellington, absolutely pouring. Gale winds. I'm just thinking hypothetically winter. That's what it's going to be like here. It's going to be 3 degrees. And if England come out and they're just going to just high ball all day long, and we know that it doesn't matter who you got in that back 3. If they don't take, they play twice. Yeah, I thought it was only 2. If you don't, Will Jordan, I think, is especially bad at this. If he doesn't secure confidence straight away, it does affect his game. I think we saw it through those finals when, especially that game, he got that yellow. That was against France. We got that yellow card for that tackle in the air. When he come back on, you could tell he was very tentative. He was very concerned about every sort of way he went about it. So, I mean, if Scott Robinson comes in and he wants to move around and put Will Jordan as his fullback, that could be a very precarious, I think, situation. Now, if he gets pummeled and makes a few errors, his confidence goes. It's just things like that. We'll see how he goes as a player. But I think it's certainly an instance that could happen. The All Blacks will let it get away. Inexperienced heads in important positions, right? So who's going to be your 10? We've all seen Damian McKenzie going backwards on a wet night against the Lions team, right? I'll never forget that. It's etched into the back of my brain as one of the worst performances from a number 10 ever. And every time it rains and Mackenzie's got a 10 jersey on, that just rears its ugly head back up. So possibilities, man. You think you put that pack going backwards in the rain, Mackenzie at 10, they're in a world of trouble against Argentina, against England, against South Africa, against anyone.
If it's absolutely pissing it down, maybe England have a chance. Maybe.
Yeah. Conditions.
And look, it's a chance. It's not like they're favourites, they'll likely win. No. They have a chance of winning. If it's dry,
it's a Forsyth bar.
Not a fucking hope in hell. I'm sorry about the language, folks, but look.
Let's be honest though. What are England going to pick next year though? Well, this year, next year. They're going to pick next year. How are they going to play? Are they going to play that sort of style? Are they going to go with these midfielders and wingers that are ripping things up in the Premiership that all the English fans are tearing their little comb-overs out over because, guys like, what's his name, Murdy and the excitement machines that are ripping it up over there are just sitting there playing club rugby. Do they transition now and themselves go to build and say, hey, we've got 4 years. Let's try and play some sort of tactic with the back line. I think the talent is there.
Because, look, in Borthwick and also in Gatland, what did they do? They had pretty much basic. They took teams. They had a short turnaround, and they took a basic game plan, and they did very well at the Rugby World Cup. Mm-hmm. Eddie Jones, God knows what he did. Well, we don't know what he did. He kept changing his mind at the end of the day, and he definitely did not have the team or didn't have the players to implement a basic game plan at the end of the day, and he didn't try to either. So so hopefully Borthwick does expand from 10-man rugby. Who knows which England will arrive. England will have. They need to be super defensive minded. Absolutely. Look, nowadays every team has to be super defensive minded. You have to be. If you can't defend, you ain't winning. The All Blacks went through some serious, 30-odd phases against Ireland defending. Look, they're a side who has spent a lot of time working on their defence. Whatever you say about New Zealand's attacking ability, they can also tackle, folks, at the end of the day. So this old idea that, Super Rugby, they don't bother training attack, don't bother training defence. Chris O'Belly, did we catch any WXV? No, we didn't. And hence we haven't talked about it because we don't want to basically not give it the attention it deserves because we can't, because we haven't got the knowledge. Sorry, but we're not going to damn it with go down that route. So if you want to know about WXV, find yourself a women's rugby podcast. We're a men's rugby podcast, really, at the end of the day. You're thinking you'll play its DNA. Look, I mean... There's place your DNA, and then there's and then there's be a caricature of yourself. And England in that semi-final were a caricature of themselves. They weren't playing to their DNA. That was going way beyond that. England have always had good wingers. Rory Underwood, etc., have scored lots of tries. Look, Arundel could score tries. I mean, he was nearly top try scorer of the tournament off one game. For fuck's sake, we've got players who can score tries. It's in the DNA. It just was not in the game plan. There. So Steve, I think we covered off what we were going to do. I think.
Oh, I'm here for the ride.
You're here for the ride.
What else are we covering off?
We're just going to basically. I was just going to look at the All Black squad, and we've had a look and said it's pretty much okay, apart from locks and particularly 10. But as you say, there's depth in locks. We can see where the locks are coming from. Whereas looking at where the 10s are coming from is a bit more. A bit more. Well, if you think that if we run through who are the 10s last year in Super Rugby, Bowden Barrett for the Blues, gone. David McKenzie for the Chiefs, he's first choice. Brett Cameron Morgan for the Hurricanes, wait to see. Moanga for the Crusaders, gone. Hunt and Burns for the Highlanders, gone. So 3 out of 5 basically have gone, which is why, the 10, the depth at 10 is a question mark. You've only got 1 10, whereas every team's got at least 2 locks. Plus you play 3 every game, don't you? So there's a bit more depth there. even if it is raw.
I don't find it bad though. To me, this is good. This is good. Players like Mitch Hunt have left. Those sort of guys. That's good because they will back calibrate. Okay, they're decent Super Rugby players. Okay, they filled a role, right? But now we get to see what's next, right? They've moved on. Thank goodness, because we don't want them clogging up spots. Okay, no offense, Mitch, at all. A quality player for the Highlanders, fun to watch, right? But humorous probably was a good way to describe him. But now we get to see the next lot coming up and see if they can actually move on to the next level. Like you talk about that last season, and they compare it to this season. There's probably about 6 or so guys that you probably actually be quite excited to see playing this season and see if they can actually make their step up. Hey, they might turn into Mitch Hunts as well. They could be just journeymen who are wandering around in 4 years' time as well. You just don't know. But at least you can see that next wave coming through, right? The fear is not all lost. We're not all picking up Reece Patchells for every 5 unions, right? So the depth is still, the conveyor belt, as they say it, of talent is rolling through yet again. And we get to see another wave of pretty much every franchise having at least one young 10 coming through, which could be really, really exciting. And even 9s. I mean, we lose Aaron Smith, but geez, we have some stacked 9s. I mean, Christie to me he needs to go to Japan quickly while he's still a current All Black. Cash in, Flinley. Cash in, man. Fucking Salva's going to be all over you. Roy Guard.
Can we see Will Hunt? Can we see Hunt coming back in the same way that Marnie Banks did as a kind of cult figure for a little while? I know that. I mean, I kind of see him as in that kind of mold, a guy who can do a drop goal from halfway to win a game, kind of thing. So a bit like a Marnie Banks, Rugby World Cup winner, bloody Stephen Donald. Kind of, I can see him kind of coming back and being in that kind of mold. I'd like to see Hunt come back and do that.
There's a number of players you can actually like to see coming back and doing that, right? But generally, you don't get that. You don't get that sort of opportunity.
Who else would you like to be? Who would you like to see as being the kind of cult figure?
Oh, geez, that's on the spot. As in a 10, I mean, Dan Coles is always the sort of guy I think that could play rugby till he was 100, literally, in a Hurricanes team. But he's a character. He's a character.
Don't get me wrong. He's a character, and he's been a very, very, very good player.
Hayden Parker, Jesus, he's a blast from the past.
Sorry.
Hayden Parker. I saw a reviewer put Hayden Parker.
Oh, Hayden Parker. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Japanese international.
But he did it for Wales. He didn't. When we talk about players like Marty Banks, Stephen Donald, they didn't go and play for another country and be very good. But yeah, Hayden Parker is a cult figure, but for Wales, not for New Zealand.
Wales, didn't he play for Japan? You're thinking of Gareth Anscombe.
No, I'm not. I'm thinking of a 12.
Hayden Parker went and played. I'm sure he played for Japan.
What? Who am I thinking
played
of?
In Wales. I could be wrong. But let me think of some other. So while you do the quick tap researches, some cult figure players of. Geez, how long ago do you go though? That's the problem. Currently,
current ones. We're talking about current players. You're quite right. Sorry, Hayden Parker was a cult figure for the Sunwolves. Who am I thinking of then? Of Wesley Parks?
Hadley Parks.
Hadley Parks for
he was a midfielder. Yes.
For Wales. Sorry. Yes.
Yes.
Hayden Parker was a but he 30 games for the Highlanders. I don't think he played. I mean, he played 29 games. He played as many games as the Sunwolves did from the Highlanders. I don't think he was here long enough to get that kind of to kind of build up the cult following here. Whereas I think Hunt could do that. I say Marty Banks, the breakout player might Will Stoddart, moving in from the Highlanders maybe. The Parker was Sunwolves, not Japan. Yep, you're quite right.
He played tests for Japan. I thought Hayden Parker played. Did he not play?
No, he played for the New Zealand under-20s. He had 5 games for them, but didn't play for Japan. No.
Interesting.
Here
we go.
He's retired now.
Is he? He's not that old.
He's 72, but his senior career ended in 22 for Colby Steelers. So I don't know if he's playing for anyone else after that.
Not a player.
According to Wikipedia, of course. Now, obviously, Wikipedia is fact. So I don't know if he's played for anyone else since then. So yeah, no, I'm interested who you kind of see. I can see perhaps Artie's too good to be a cult player.
Yeah.
But
It's got to be someone who punches above how good they currently are, right? For just a peak moment.
Koi can be a kind of cult figure. But a guy who puts nail varnish on, who's a lock. I mean, that kind of it doesn't that's cult. He doesn't fit the mold by any stretch of what a lock should be. He is. As far as I know, he's. And I'm not trying to out him here or anything. As far as I know, he's straight, has a girlfriend and stuff. But just likes putting nail polish on. Why not? But hey, it's all funny. It's a style statement. So Rennie Ranger, absolutely, yeah, Rennie Ranger for Northland, absolutely is because of how long he's been playing there, has become a bit of a cult figure up there. Boy, oh boy, he should retire though. I love him. He's given us an interview before, which is fantastic. And when he retires, he's basically going to be ending up digging ditches by roads. He's going to be a part of a road gang. That's basically his post-career thing. For a guy who's been an All Black, you're kind of like, wow, okay. But that's cool. That's what it's who he is. And I should dig out that interview as well and put a link in the show notes for the podcast.
Another option for you, Fumiaki Tanaka. Okay. Bring him back.
Yeah, yes, definitely a cult figure.
Yeah.
We just don't let what's his name on TV to make jokes about him.
Yeah. He's a cult figure that can go. That one.
Well, yes.
Wheeler
can go. And does Israel Dad count as being a cult figure?
No. No. I don't want to see him come back. No.
It was kind of fun, his media stuff when he was still a player, and he was kind of good. Him trying to move into being a media person, no. Matt Todd, just
gotta say
yes,
Marty Holler soon at this rate.
Sorry,
gotta say Marty Holler soon at this rate.
But Matt Todd, did he have a personality? I can't remember ever hearing him talk or get. The thing about your Stephen Donalds, your Marty Banks, they have a personality off the pitch as well. It's part of the. Whereas Matt Todd, wonderful player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take away from that. But as far as him wanting to have or having a media presence, I don't think he really did off the pitch. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't remember ever talking.
Not that I ever really saw. No, not really one that really stood out to me. That's for sure. There's not really too many. They don't get the thing. So it's so PC these days, isn't it? Like you go to an interview and you say, "Oh, full credit to the other team and 100% this and 50% that." You very rarely get to see the characters in a team. I mean, you see a little bit of it, I think, through this World Cup when they do their own media stuff. You see a little bit of that. I think it's been a couple of characterish players that had kind of let themselves out a bit more than they would for fear of things going poorly for them. But I think Stephen Reese is a bit of a character. So I think guys who get injured and they take over that media sort of thing. He's one that's quite a bit of a character as well, but you don't see it that often. Mainly because of his history, I guess. He's probably being told just to shut up and play rugby, right, and don't do anything else.
See, the history thing, I think, is more overseas fans rather than New Zealand fans. I think New Zealand fans sorry? I
agree.
Yeah, I think New Zealand fans basically have moved on. Flafa Katava, discarded hairpiece, last seen on that. Actually, yeah, I think there are a couple of scrum halves who I think have got a bit of personality. Who
Brad Weber,
Jimmy Gopperth, yes. Absolutely fantastic, big shout. But it does tend to be tens, doesn't it? That's interesting.
Because they're the clutch players that do that one moment of brilliance that you remember forever. They're just, it's the drop goals. It's the last minute penalties after time has run out. And then they never do anything else again. But you always want them there because you know that they've done it once. And if you've done it once, you can always do it twice.
And actually, one of the reasons I want Hunt to be it is because he did that you're right, he did that drop goal from halfway. That's kind of why I kind of want it. I can't think of why else. Because if he actually started talking to me, I probably wouldn't recognize it. It's one of those sort of things. It's like, do I actually know what he sounds like? Do I know what his personality is? Not really. But maybe I had a name and I've gone blank as to who it was. Oh yeah, when you talk about drop goals, I mean Zinzan Brook, I guess is kind of one of the reasons why he's kind of lauded as being kind of this great number 8. Yes, he was a wonderful player as well, but he was mercurial because he did one drop goal, right? And he was this mercurial Nate because of that. And the longer we go past his career, most people forget about most of what he did. The drop goal becomes more and more who he is. From that point of view. So yeah. Anyway, it's been fun talking about those sort of things. Maybe we'll bring it up again next week if you kind of remember any other cult figures.
Nick White for Australia.
Yeah, the moustache. Part of it.
He's a grub. But only for Australia. We don't want him here. For
Kiwi, who's considered the better player, Gopeth or Nick Evans?
Nick Evans.
Yeah, Nick Evans, because they were always wanting to bring him back as cover for Dan Carter. Whereas Gopeth was like, yep, he's gone, whatever.
I think Gopeth was underrated. He was an underrated player, for sure. I think Gopeth was a better player than his career in New Zealand rugby kind of portrays. But I guess he come in that period where it was very difficult to try and break into anything more, wasn't it? And so much competition. Like even Nick Evans, you say, boy, for a player that could have held an All Blacks number 10 jumper for years and years and years, hardly really saw it as his own for the great period that is here. And I guess that's why Jimmy Gopeth had such a great career overseas, because he recognised that early and thought, I'm out. I'm going to go make some coin and make a name for myself. They're like, how many games he played for Wasps? Like, geez, hundreds. He's there forever. He's a cult there as well, as much as anywhere else.
I was going to say, I think of Jimmy Gopeth as being a Falcons player, but maybe I'm a Newcastle player.
He did move around. But Nick Evans, to me, I think Nick Evans was a...
Okay, so yeah, so get Jimmy Gopeth, Newcastle Falcons from 2009 to 2013. That's where he went from the Blues, 113 games there. I knew he had a brief stint at Leinster, 61 games. I mean, brief. That's still 3 years. And then Wasps 156 games. But that was kind of after he was already established as a player over there, having played for Falcons, gone to Leinster, won a European Champions Cup.
What a career, right? Much better than staying here.
Oh, hell yeah. And we're actually playing up until this year.
Yeah, he was late 30s.
Leicester Tigers. 40.
He was actually 40. He actually ticked over the 40, yeah.
Well, no, actually, to be fair, he was 40 in June. Their season ended in May. So he might just have been 39.
Late 30s, yes. Hey, how about Jimmy Cowan coming back?
Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now because I was thinking about wrapping up like 20 minutes ago, but then we started talking about they went down the rabbit hole of cult figures.
Welcome to live streams with me and Reviewer. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. So yeah. So who's going to do the next web page? The real Marty Banks. Who's it going to be? The real Hunt. We'll see. But yeah, have a great. Thank you, Steve, for joining me. Thank you everyone who's been in the live chat as well. And we'll catch you all next week at 8 p.m.